Alright, let's take care of our buttons and add some life to this page right here. First I'm going to treat the sign up button. I'm going to go into the styling panel and I'm going to add a hover state to it by going to the states right up here, clicking hover, and now we officially have the hover state selected, so any changes I make now will be changes made to the hover state. So I'm going to go into the fill color. I'm going to make this 100% black. That means that when you hover over it, the button will turn black like so, and that is just what I want. But I want to make it even cooler by adding a little transition to it so that it's not so choppy. I'm going to make it a little smoother by adding a slight fade to it. And to do that, all I need to do is come down to the effects palette at the bottom of the styling panel and click on this stopwatch right here, and we can set it to be 200 milliseconds. Now this is the time that it will transition between all properties. We can set this to many different variables here, but I'm going to keep it at all properties because we're only using the fill color opacity, and leave it at ease. So let's check it out. When I hover over the sign up button, you see it has a little fade to it, and that is nicer. It gives it a little more character. So now I'm gonna do a similar treatment to my fields. Selecting the field, I just want to go up to the hover and let's make it fully white and leave it at that. So now I have my hover states for my fields, and I want to go and touch up on these tab menu buttons right here. So first I need to add a class to it. I can just call them tab link, and tab link as well. Okay, and then I want to remove the background color, leaving the one that is currently selected to have a blue fill color, but I'm going to take care of that in a second. First I want to change the text color to white, and I'm going to make it in the Montserrat typeface or font, and let's make it 16 pixels, and of course add a text shadow to it, make it black, and I need to add an additional text shadow because I need to make it more legible, easier to see. Let's go make it 180 degrees, and we can simply drop in the let's keep it at 6 pixels, and we can just drop the opacity to 50%. Okay, so now it's easier to see what it says on the buttons here, and I want to take care of the current button, making the fill color 50%, actually 40% white, so that it has a glass feeling to it. And that is the current button. So if I were to switch to the lightbox, then it would have the fill as well. And what I'm going to do next is add the hover state to it. So I'm going to select the hover state and add the 40% white fill as well. So now we see that we have a hover state going on here, and let's make that transition a little softer. So selecting the link again, let's go down to the stopwatch and add another 200 milliseconds to it. So now we have a slower transition in between the hover state. And in fact, I'm gonna pull these in a little bit, changing the left and right padding to 20 pixels. And it's a little tight in between these buttons and my subtitle, so I'm simply gonna add some margin below my subtitle. I think 10 pixel margin will do just fine. Giving it a little space, yeah. Okay, so let's check that out. Here we see our hover state in action, giving our site a little more responsiveness to the hovering of my mouse. And we see that the fields are responding as well. And let's take care of this home button right here. I don't want it to be a black hover state, but I want it to look similar to the tab menus. So going up to the state, I'm going to change this to white. And I'm going to add a 40% opacity white fill. And of course, let's add the transition to it, making it 200 milliseconds. And there we have our subtle transition. Of our button. And that is looking really good. It is not too sharp of a contrast, but it feels very subtle, very elegant. And what I'm going to do next is add some animations, actually interactive animations to my images. And it's not going to be a hover state, but there are going to be animations. So let's move on to the next step, and we're going to make some different interactions with our images.